Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show, Guff-Gaaf Unfiltered. This is episode number one. I'm really excited to announce my guest, and my guest is none other than my brother, Paras Groom. He's one of the brilliant mind that I know and from different generation. So I'm really excited to share our conversation with you. Paras, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
What's new? What's exciting going on?
Nothing much. I've just finished my last exam last week, so I'm just planning to enjoy the summer as much as I possibly can.
Nice, nice. First of all, thank you very much for doing multiple practice with me, and finally we're recording the official episode number one. And I really wanted you to be my first guest. It will be a good practice, also a good introduction to my audiences. So yeah, so you're studying, and your exams are just done. What are you studying,
I'm studying psychology at Carleton University.
and what you're in?
I'm currently in my fourth year. I just have one credit to make up. That's my honors project. So I just have that one class next year, and then I'll graduate.
In graduating, okay. What makes you like what? How did you make the decision to take psychology?
Well, in school, I always performed better in social sciences. I was better at reading and writing papers than doing mathematics or other sciences. And around grade 11, I had a teacher that kind of pushed me towards that. And she gave me this book, actually. It's called Phantoms of the Brain. It's by V.S. Ramachandran.
You can show here.
V.S. Ramachandran.
Okay. What's special about the book?
So this book, it looks big and kind of daunting at first, but it's a very easy read. He writes it for like casual audiences, and a chapter is maybe like 15 pages, and in that chapter he goes through different psychiatric problems, mostly related to neurology, so which is the brain, and how there are different like problems in the brain and how we're still trying to understand it. And the first time I read it, I was just like blown away, and I was like, I need to learn more about these because I can read like however many books if it's about this topic, than to do it about something that I'm not gonna enjoy, right?
Okay. So I remember taking a psychology class as an elective back in university, and it was pretty tough for me because it was a lot about human brain trauma, adverse childhood experience and stuff like that. How do you cope with that? Like, how do you grasp those information?
Well, I think you have to be able to kind of separate what you read from your personal life. Don't take that baggage with you because it is a lot of very serious, kind of traumatic things you will read a lot of the times. It's like, I think, like a police officer, he doesn't take his job home because if he does, then he's going to have problems at home. And we see it like with police officers who do that, they have like the highest rates of abuse and stuff. So if you're able to kind of separate those two, then you'll be able to have like a calm life, I guess.
Nice. Okay. Um, do you think that taking psychology made you more empathetic person?
I don't think empathetic, more maybe more observant of people's behaviors and more understanding. Definitely, I learned a lot about myself and how my own behaviors were going, and I still am. Right, I'm not done my like understanding my own self, and with that, you kind of look at other people's behaviors and you just try to understand. Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't judge upfront. Which I would probably do when I was younger.
Yeah.
I'd get really angry. I had a very low. I was very irritable. Was the thing, and now I think I'm a little more calm and able to understand people.
Okay, that's cool. Let's say there's some kids in our community who is in grade 12 thinking about taking psychology next year. What would you tell them? Any tips?
I think you have to know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And the first 2 years in university, it's really not that hard. It's very much just introduction to theories, right? And then you kind of get into statistics and a lot of reading afterwards. And you have to be prepared to be like, am I able to do these readings? Because if you don't do the readings, you don't go to, like, even if you go to class, you're not going to understand anything, right? You have to be able to kind of deconstruct those papers if in the future you're going to be writing those papers yourself. You don't want your degree and to come out not having to know, like, okay, I don't know how to write a paper. Then what was the degree for? It's like, it's useless. So if you know your strengths and if you know, like, I can do this, then definitely go for it. I feel like it's a very enjoyable. Um, I find like psychology students are more happy than the other programs. Like, you look at the engineering and they are always miserable. So
Really? How come? Like, how? What do you think so?
I think, I don't know. I think we just have a little more time, free time. Like, yeah, there's a lot of studying, but if you do it on time, if you keep yourself checked, then you're able to kind of make yourself have free time to do other things in life. You don't want your 4 years to be, okay, it's just my education. You're going to be miserable. You're going to burn out at some point. And that's kind of what I see with a lot of my friends who are in those programs.
Okay, cool. All right, so wish you all the best for your final year. Let's move a little bit towards something I know you're really passionate about. And I was a little bit shocked when you picked that sport. So I'm talking about hockey. You were pretty young when you picked hockey.
Yeah.
I don't see you playing hockey, but I know how passionate you are. Which team you support in hockey?
I am a die-hard Ottawa Senators fan. Yeah. And you're right, I did pick it when I was very young. I think I was in grade 8,
Yeah.
2017. That was the last time that they were good. And since I started following the team has gone to absolutely, like, garbage, for the lack of a better term.
Yeah.
We have been terrible. And I think it's just this year that we've picked it up and we've made the playoffs. Playoffs, most people might not understand, is like once the regular season's done, you play your 82 game quota, and the top half of the teams, they go into the playoffs, and it's a best of 7, 4 rounds, and then whoever is the winner is like they get the Stanley Cup.
Okay, so I remember in 2017 they went to playoff too, or they played the final.
They went to the playoffs and they made it 1 goal away from the finals. It was double overtime, and overtime is whoever team scores first wins. So we were literally just 1 goal away. We would have made it to the finals, and the finals team was really not that hard. It was Nashville at that time. I feel like we had a good chance. We were a really good team, but unfortunately it did not work out, and we lost against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. When they scored the goal, it was just like, I felt like my heart sank. It was a terrible moment. But I think you would know, with sports, you have the lowest of lows and the highest of highs.
Yeah.
And some of the happiest I've been has been watching this team, even though, like, they've been pretty bad in the last couple of years. But when they win, it feels amazing. It makes your day, kind of thing.
Okay, so you were saying this year in 2025 they're doing pretty good. So they made the playoff this year.
Yeah, we made the playoffs. We've been trying for a very long time. It's so after 2017, within like a year, most of the players were gone. We either sold them, traded them, like they were gone. So we had like new players coming in, younger players, and those young players are now getting to an age where they're like hitting their prime. I think you remember when we went to watch the game in 2018.
Yeah.
It was a very young team. There was this young kid who was just making his debut called Kachuk. And now he's our captain. And
Okay.
he's, I think, 24, 25, and he's in his prime. He's playing one of the best, and he's one of the reasons that we're in the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah, I remember going to watch that hockey game with our couple of friends, and the foods were really expensive, and both of my friends were sleeping throughout the game. And every time someone would score, they're like, "What happened?" They just wake up. So you're mentioning about your captain. So is he the best player right now from the team?
From the team, I would say yes. He's not the most skillful. He's not going to score the most points, but he is a very ferocious type. He will lead the team. You know what I mean? He's a leader. He will lead from the front. Most times you have people who kind of lay back or they're like just relied on to be like, oh, who's the best scorer? He'll be the captain. But you want your captain to be a leader to like kind of motivate your team to be like, you know what, we might not be the best team out there, right? They're way outmatch us, but we're gonna do whatever it takes to try to win that game, and that's all that matters. And I think it's that mentality that has gotten us to the playoffs, because we really don't have the most skillful team in the league. We're probably we're worst in the playoffs right now, but it's that mentality that has kind of led us up there.
Okay. So you've been following the team for pretty long, and I'm pretty sure you did the research, the history, and stuff. Who do you think are the top three players from the team all
Uh,
time?
all time, it's really not that hard because the team only exists from 1992.
Okay.
Back then, we had a team from the 1900s and early on. So until the 1932, I think we had a team, and we were one of the best in the world at that time. We won all the cups, but that team folded. So now this new team, the best player has to be probably Eric Carlson. He was our defenseman who led us in the 2017 playoffs. He was two-time winner of the Best Defenseman award. Really, if you had asked anybody around 2017, they would have said he's probably the third best player in the world, right? He was just that good. Behind him, I would have Daniel Alfredson, which is probably controversial because most people see that Alfredson is the best that we've had. He's our points leader. He was our captain for the longest time. He spent almost his whole career with us, except for like one last season, which was due to like conflict. So those two are top two, and top three. I mean, the third one you can just go with anybody. We don't really have much stars in our history. We had scorers like Danny Heatley, Jason Spezza. I think because of how much Spezza meant to the team, I'd probably go with Spezza.
Okay. One thing I always wondered about hockey was the fights. Okay, so they're literally fighting in the ring, and then other people are just watching. What's going on there? Like, why are they fighting?
It is pretty ridiculous, right? When you see them fighting and they're on skates on ice, it's like, why are you doing that? And why are the referees allowing that? Um, it's a very like I think an old school concept that has stayed with the sport. Like the manliness thing, like two men have a problem, they like tug it out, fight it out, and then you can go sit for 5 minutes and then you can come back. It's kind of that kind of mentality, and it has stayed. It has become more controversial nowadays though, because all sports we're seeing more awareness of CTE, like concussions, and this is not like UFC, right? They're on ice. There's a lot of dangerous things that could happen. So there is like a movement saying like maybe we shouldn't allow fights, but most fans would be like when you see a fight that is like one of the best moments of the whole match, right? The match could be 1-1, it could be boring, but you see one fight and it's like wow, we saw a fight today.
You like it too?
No, I love watching fights. It gets you like riled up. It's like your team, you're cheering for him, whatever it is. Sometimes you see like 5'10" players fight like a 6'5" guy, and it's hilarious because like, but they still go for it. It's like this is an old school thing that has just stuck around now.
Okay, wow. Okay. I've never seen the fights, but I've seen in some videos. Okay, so one thing I was wondering was I was watching TikTok and I found a video. I think it's from somewhere west of Canada. In a hockey game, a group of kids, Punjabi kids, were singing Canadian national anthem during the hockey game in Punjabi, and the comments were very harsh. Like a lot of racist comment, like almost everyone was against it. That people were saying, "Why are you bringing different language into hockey? Hockey is not for you guys." Stuff like that. What do you have to say? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, to those people, it's like don't give them thought. Like, it's a very, I think if it's a fringe uh, part of the community, and it's the loudest part. That's the problem. It's like they're the ones who go out and speak out the most, right? I don't think it's a big community within hockey that think that way. Hockey is, of course, not always been the most accepting. It's a very to us, when we think about hockey, we think about like it's a white man's game.
Right.
Like if you see like a brown person or a black person play hockey, it's like wow. And that's kind of the thing in the league as well. You barely see many colored people there. But the league is definitely doing well to make sure that like it opens up to those people in the future. And I think it's great that the Punjabi people are like, because now we have, I think with the new Rogers deal that the NHL signed in Canada, it's English, French, and Punjabi. So it's three languages there, right? So the inclusivity part, I think is great that we're trying to explore more of that. More people can come in. Of course, it's not it's a ridiculous thing to say like this sport is ours. It's just supposed to be open to everybody, right? It's not like Canada has had control over the sport for the longest time. You see in Europe, Sweden, Finland, Russia, it's huge over there as well, right? And we should be promoting the idea of our sport growing, so that in the future we will have the best of the best playing against each other, right? That's kind of what you see with like football or soccer. You have players from everywhere in the world, everywhere come out, and you see them play against each other. Like that's what you want to see in hockey, but it's definitely like a fringe section that does it, and sorry, I think it's a disgrace just to have those people around. But I do feel sad when I see it sometimes, but I think the league itself is doing better to promote inclusivity.
Okay. So Ottawa Senator plays in the league that includes teams from US too, right? And how would you rank the team? Is it really good, like Ottawa Senator, in terms of comparing to other teams?
We are kind of seen as a middle market or like a small market.
Okay.
Most teams in the NHL are in America because, of course, they have bigger cities, so a bigger chance of following and TV rights there. And also, a lot of American states now, their like taxes are cheaper. It's easier for the clubs to kind of run and make a profit than it is here because you're paying taxes. The players are going to be paying taxes. So if somebody were to play in, let's say, Florida, they don't have to pay tax for however much they make, the players, right? Which is crazy. Like if you get paid $8 million, you're getting $8 million. Here you're gonna have to pay those taxes, so the club has to pay them extra money. So of course it's harder to run a club in Canada. So we don't rank that high within like the league right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not that familiar. How many teams Canada has in that league?
So we have Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto in the east, and then in the west you have Winnipeg, Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. So 8 teams.
Eight. Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Who owns the Ottawa Senators? Because I remember seeing in the news that Ryan Reynolds was about to buy the team.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
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 Is he the owner right now?
No, no, no. Ryan Reynolds, he definitely tried, and I think it would have been fun if he was here. Like you can have those little Amazon series like they have in what's the little club in Wales?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have done that here. I feel like it would have been a good introduction to the world of our sport or of our team. But his bid didn't go through. The owner now is Michael Anlauer, and I think he's some billionaire. But he's doing good so far. Like he seems passionate about the team and making sure that we have success in the future.
Why didn't you try playing, like even in school or community?
I really don't know. I think I was a very lazy teenager. For a long time, I really struggled with kind of being social and going out, and I always had like a fear of that. And it's good with like therapy and all the stuff that I've been able to do that a lot more in the last couple of years. I think you've noticed that as well. But yeah, I think it was just the laziness that stopped me. I definitely did have tried in the last couple of years skating, but it's not as easy as it looks. Like you get on and you think like, wow, I'll be able to get it in a couple of hours, like riding a bicycle. But no, like you keep falling and it gets embarrassing. This summer or like this winter, I tried in the canal, and it did not go that well. And all the kids were just like going past me, just laughing at me.
Yeah, I always wanted to have some kind of winter sport too. I remember going to a skating ring, fell down so many times. I'm like this is not for me. Like, I better play soccer, than this. Anyways, well, hopefully I'll pick some sport for winter because the winter here in Ottawa is brutal.
Yeah, and it's everlasting as well. You never know when it's gonna end. It takes up most of the year. So
Yeah. So another thing that I know about you is you're a big reader, book reader. What book you're reading right now?
So I wasn't able to read this entire school term because I was reading so much papers. Like I
Yeah.
didn't have time. But yesterday I picked this up again just so I can reread it. It's a very easy read, as I said before. So it kind of gets your mind going back into that kind of repetition of like, let me have that 20 minutes, to read it. And if you get interested, you'll keep on going. But at least get to that 20 minutes, right? So I'm just going back to this book for now.
Okay. Yeah, I also started reading, I think, 5 years ago, and now I love reading. And you might have noticed I'm reading a lot of self-help books, right?
Yeah.
And you told me self-help books is ridiculous. Like, why are you reading it? Why do you think that? Like,
No, I have like a deep hatred of self-help books. I cannot do it. I tried picking it up, like I tried reading what it says, and I just get really angry at the author. I'm just like, it feels like being talked down to me most of the time, or like pseudoscience. That's what it kind of feels like to me. Um, you know, I would rather have like a professional. If I'm trying to learn like a science or a philosophy, I'd rather have somebody who's qualified talking to me in like a qualified manner. Even if I don't understand some terms, like that's okay. But I feel like self-help books, they kind of try to get to that concept, but they water down the idea so much because they're trying to get to like a bigger audience, try to reach a bigger audience. And at some way, you kind of lose the point at some point, like while you're trying to do that.
yeah.
And that's why I always tell you, don't read self-help books. Pick up like the real ones, the fiction books, the non-fiction books, whatever it is. You'll find the lesson in there, even if it takes like 1, 2 reads to do so. And I think it's better to do it that way.
Okay. And so you like reading fiction and non-fiction?
I go with both, but I feel like the fiction I try to read are they have some sort of concept within them, like a philosophical concept. So if I'm going to read fiction, it would probably be authors like um, Fyodor Dostoevsky. It's a fiction story that he's telling, but within that, there's a lot of philosophy in there that you kind of have to take in, right? I would compare it to how you read the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata. It's a story, but within those stories, there's a lot of lessons that you kind of have to take in yourself. It's not gonna like tell you straight away this is what you're supposed to do,
Right.
right?
Okay. I remember reading the Malcolm Gladwell's book that I picked up from you, and I read all three book. They were really good. The Blink, Outlier, and what's the next one? It's here.
The tipping point.
Tipping Point. Yeah,
Yeah.
those three books were really good. Is he your favorite author, or who is your favorite author?
No, I think Michael Gladwell, he's a really good introduction to psychology. He really makes those concepts really interesting. Probably not now though. Maybe with psychology, there's writers like Pinker. His writing is very good. One of the old school, one of my favorite ones is Oliver Sacks. Oliver Sacks was a friend of V.S. Ramachandran, and his writings are really good as well. But with my fiction stories, I think Dostoevsky is probably my favorite. That is very like a basic answer, but I really just love reading his books.
Okay. All right. So if somebody is reading or they want to start reading, recommend top three books that you have read.
To start reading,
Yeah.
oh, this is you always put me on the hot seat, but I think definitely this Phantoms of the Brain for people who do want to kind of get into psychology or understand some psychological concepts. It really is not as daunting as it looks. The other ones are really hard, but I think there's Notes from the Underground by Dostoevsky. That one's really good. And if you want to just read like a lighthearted, I mean, not lighthearted, but like a good fiction story, there's Dance, Dance, Dance by um, Murakami, I think. I forgot his name.
Dance, Dance, Dance.
Dance, 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 yes. I'm messing up the author's name right now. It's like blanking out in my brain. But yeah, Murakami, I think it is.
Okay. And I remember you used to kind of rate the book. You used to do the review of the book. Are you still doing that?
No, yeah, that was just like me when I was younger. I do sometimes go to like Goodreads and like put in my review, but um, I think with books it's a little more different than like with movies. You need a couple of reads and rereads, and it really depends on what my mood is when I'm reading the book. If I'm in a really like happy mood when I'm reading it, it might go through really fast, and it feels like wow, that was a really quick and easy read, right? But if I'm in a lazy mood and I'm taking 20 minutes every single time, then I'm kind of dragging myself to finish the book, and I'll feel like this book is bad, and I don't want to judge the book by how my mood is at the moment. You know what I mean?
Okay. Why should people read? What does it do to you?
I mean, scientifically, it's been proven that it really stimulates your mind. People who read are just, you get your mind working all the time. Now we live in such a focused, and not focused, but like a very structured life. You go to work, you come back, you cook, you eat, go to sleep, right? And like scroll on your phone for 2 hours before you sleep. And that kind of doesn't get anything going with your brain. You want to make sure that you're exploring more things, that you want to stimulate your mind some way. And reading books, I think, does that really well, and it's been proven to do that well. It also helps you with your vocabulary. It helps you with um, writing a lot. Like when you're writing and words sometimes don't come to you, but if you're reading a lot, then those, you're always stimulating those words within yourself, and it becomes much easier to write as well.
I can agree with that. I think reading just expand your brain. You're able to imagine more, right? You're able to create your own story, own pictures. That's really good. Okay, all right. Hopefully we'll share a couple of books that will be interesting. So you're a Gen Z, right? Like in terms of like when
Gen Z, yeah.
yeah, Gen Z. So I was 90s born kid.
Millennial, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think this is what I feel? I think Gen Zs are more smarter, like they're more tech savvy, they're smarter, intelligent than my generation. That's how I feel. Do you agree with that?
No, I think with every generation that has come about, like you have gotten better with technology. Like you compare yourself to Gen X, and you're like way far, right? And I think it's natural because our lives are so centered around technology now that you have to kind of be able to use it properly. Um, it's like being what happened to me, right? How I picked up English really fast is because I was popped in here. Nobody around me spoke Nepali, right? So I had to understand English if I were to kind of survive here. It's the same thing for a kid. If you're growing up here, if you don't know technology, it's going to be so much harder for you to kind of keep up within society and your own life. So I don't think it is that. I see in the future as well, like I see younger kids, how good they're getting with technology. So they're probably going to be much better than me in a couple of
Right.
years.
Yeah, somehow I always feel like I'm late in the trend, whether it's in social media or technology or right now the AI. I just feel like our generation is a little bit behind, and Gen Zs and so Gen X is the current one, right?
Um, no, I think it's alpha or beta. I don't remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, so many
Gen X
generations.
was our older sister's generation.
Oh, okay, so before me.
Yeah, before.
Okay. Well, so I have a quick section. Okay, so we're gonna do this quick section. Um, the segment is called Tito Mito. Okay, segment. So I'm gonna ask you a question. You just have to answer in one word or one sentence maximum.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Chito Mito with Paras. These are your question. Again, one word or one sentence. What comes to your mind when I say hockey?
Thrill,
What about parents?
love.
Friendship?
Um, that one's hard. When I think of friendship, I'm thinking of like camaraderie, like being together. Making sure, like, yeah, I would say just being together.
Being together.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This one I got it from Jay Shetty. I'm really inspired by his podcast. So, best advice you have ever received?
The best advice I've ever received was just to, it's not really that serious. Life, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I would always stress about future, future, future. I want to plan for this, this, this. And then I realized, like, I don't know if that's going to happen. You know what I mean? I want to live for now. I want to live for the next couple of days, and make the most of every time that I have here. And do what I want. Sometimes I want to lay in bed and all day and scroll my phone, and it's okay. I get what I want from that day, right? But other days, if I want to do something, I don't want to stop myself by saying, you know, oh, I'll do it another day, right? I want to do it that day, kind of
Okay,
like that.
nice. So live in the moment.
Yes, live in the moment, exactly.
Nice. Okay, if you can recommend me three guests or three topics, who would that be, or what topics you can recommend and why?
I think one of the guests would be my best friend Sadiqa Bazgan.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like she has a lot to talk about. She is a big yapper, and I think it would be fun for you to have her here to talk about this our society here as well. I think she's very interested in those things. She's in a similar field as you in social work, so I think you guys would have a good conversation there. Um, I'm not sure who the other ones are here, but we have. I'm
Any
blanking out.
topics that you like me to talk in this podcast?
Um, yeah, I feel like next time we're here, we can talk a lot about our sport interests specifically. We can talk a lot about, I guess, cricket. We're both very passionate fans, so expanding into that would be really nice. Expanding your topics and also into exploring different music and understanding history. If you're into that, of course, I love history, so I can always yap about that. So yeah, like different move on to different subjects all the time with history, geography, whatever it is. I would love to talk about those things.
Okay, nice. Okay, so you came to Canada when you were really young, right? Do you remember anything from Nepal?
No, my memories are very photographic at the like moment, and by photographic I mean I see kind of vignettes, but it never translates to a full memory. So I can never know like what exactly happened. I just have pictures of it. That's why sometimes I go to my sister, or I'll come to you, and I'll be like, "Oh, do you remember this happening?" But I don't really know what happened. I just know like, oh, there was this one moment that I think we went to picnic around the hills, and all I know is going towards the hills. Right, I have that memory, so I need to ask you to kind of refresh myself to be like, oh, like when you tell me, "Oh, we went there, we walked over there," so that's kind of how my memories works right now.
Okay. How was your experience coming to Canada as a kid?
I was it was very daunting at first. I was kind of scared because I didn't know what was happening. All I knew was that we were moving away. Even at that age, that camp was my life. You know what I mean? And we didn't get out much, so I didn't know what the outer world was like. I didn't know that there was a world like Canada. That the society here is so different. Trying to integrate myself was really hard at first, but I think very quickly the people I was around, um, like the friends I made, a lot were Somali or Arabs that we grew up around, and they were very accepting and of my personality and how I wanted to interact with them. They had already understood the language, a lot of them, but they were very willing to kind of teach me as well. And I got caught in within a couple of minutes. I had gotten the language.
Okay. And you were able to build some long-term friendship as well?
Yeah, I mean, with school, I still have a lot of people that I kind of come back to. It's just really hard now because we all have adult lives and our personal lives and school to try to kind of make like a group hangout happen. I've been trying since January. Hopefully next month there's something happens, but yeah, trying to keep those friendships going.
Okay. And you don't have any friends in Nepal, right? Because you came really young here.
Yeah, no, I have none.
Do you ever want to go back to Nepal just to visit?
Nepal, I don't think so. Like I don't really have much of a connection there, except the fact that I was born there. But the fact that I was born in a refugee camp kind of tells me like I have no connection to the country itself. I would want to kind of take our mother, if that would ever be possible, back to where she was born and like kind of our homeland, which was Bhutan, and have her see like where she was born and raised and what her life was like. I think that would be much more something what I want.
Okay, cool. One thing that I always emphasize in our community or my community work is the preservation of your culture, language, traditions, right? Uh, and you coming to Canada as a really young kid and growing up here, ho- do you think it is important to still preserve? How important is it?
Well, I think it's one of the most important things you can do if you're having future generations if you're having a child. Um, what always comes back to me is the sacrifices that our parents made, our older siblings made, because of our culture, right? It was because of our culture that we were kind of persecuted back in our country. So if they went through all this struggle um, to preserve what is our language, what is our culture, what is our heritage, then of course I think like it is not just, it's my responsibility to pass that down to somebody else, or to make sure that I hold on to some aspect of that as myself as well.
Okay. And how important is that for your own identity? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a very central aspect of my identity. It has helped me kind of form a lot of my ethics and morals, because now I feel like it's ridiculous in the world when you look around to see how little empathy people have for other people who are struggling, right? And the fact that we grew up in that environment, and the reason why we had to grow up in that environment kind of made me realize, like, I have to show empathy to other people, no matter who they are. The situation they're in is more important, right? It is the humanity that matters the most for them, and to myself as well.
Mm, okay. Yeah, I'm sure what you're studying it also aligns with your own identity, right? Because
Hmm.
you're studying a lot of psychology, the brain. I'm really fascinated about psychology, and I have one question about it. Is there anything like any case study that you have studied in psychology class that was really fascinating for you?
Yeah, actually, one of them is from this book that I ended up refreshing myself yesterday, so I can tell you about it. When people have epilepsy, so seizures in the brain,
Right.
it is because there's too much connections happening between your two hemispheres. So your brains are basically like this. If you put like two fists together,
Mm-hmm.
that is the size of your brain. And if they're communicating too much, too many connections happening, that's kind of what seizures are, or epilepsy is. And in cases of severe epilepsy, where it's constantly happening, of course, that is very dangerous. So what doctors sometimes do is cut the middle. So they separate the two hemispheres, so they're not able to communicate with each other anymore, and that is called split brain patients. And with them, sometimes you have very odd um, problems that arise. And one of them was how your conscious mind would kind of take into one hemisphere, and but the other hemisphere is still there, it's still working, it's still functioning in your body, right? So it would have kind of a mind of its own that you can't, which is ridiculous in your, like,
Wow.
when you think about it, right?
Mm.
So you could be, let's say, putting your clothes on with your right hand, but your left hand is trying to take your clothes off at the same time. So it's like having, like, I feel like it would be crazy to live like that. Like, how would you, like, kind of survive like that, right? And that is one of my favorite case studies to go around. We all evolved, kind of, life has evolved in a way. It's not like, to me at least, I mean, religious people kind of view it a little different, but to me, we evolved from nature, right? So it would be natural for us to have aspects of ourselves that are connected to nature, right? The fact that we have eyes, and if you go back and look at history and how eyes developed, it's a crazy concept, right? It's a
Mm.
beautiful thing when you think about it, and it took hundreds of millions of years, for billions of years, for eyes to develop itself. So the same thing is with brains. It took life a very long time to develop brains, and I feel like human brains in the last couple of million years blew up in a way where our knowledge, comprehension, just became, the ability has become so vast that we have kind of overtaken all other animals and all of nature, to give ourselves, like, to tell ourselves that, oh, we're apart from nature because we have gotten that smart.
Oh, okay, okay. Makes sense, makes sense. All right, so studying psychology, what's next? Like, what is the, um, how does your future look like? What kind of professions are there for people who study psychology?
With a bachelor's degree, there's not much, because within our society,
Yeah.
you go back 20 years, it was probably like, oh, you get a job instantly. But now it's, a bachelor's degree doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
To go into counseling and stuff, you kind of need a master's degree. Um, and if you want to go into teaching, like I would really want to do in the future, come to do lectures in universities, just even if it's like a part-time thing. But that also means doing a teaching degree. So it's a lot of education ahead of me, I see. After my graduation next year, I definitely want to see if I would be accepted into some master's program, either here in Ottawa or in Montreal. Has two really good universities, McGill and Concordia. McGill's my number one choice, and hopefully, if I get into there, I would be really happy to future my education, like to progress my education with the masters, and then after that, you can go into counseling and stuff.
Okay. Is that something you want to do, like counseling?
Yeah, I have always kind of that was been my thought is like I might want to go into counseling. Um, it is a very difficult thing to do counseling.
Right.
You see a lot of counselors have burnouts because they have too many clients and too many of these issues. But I feel like I'll be able to, hopefully, I'll be able to kind of control myself a little bit more.
Okay. Nice. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
We talked about psychology, hockey, your life, a lot of things today. I had really fun, like good fun time
Yeah.
with you. How was your experience being my first ever guest in the show?
Well, I was a little bit nervous, and I don't like how I started so much, but that's just who I am. If you know me, like even in like normal conversations, I stutter a lot. But hopefully, this listening experience was good for everybody. I really enjoyed talking. I love talking, and this is amazing.
Okay. Any piece of advice that you have for me for this show?
I think you've done a great job. You've structured the podcast very well. In the future, whichever guest they are, make sure like the questions you are very personalized to them as well. And I really like that you asked me questions that are personalized to me, and it showed that you cared and you have researched on me, or like you have knowledge about myself as well. If you do the same for other people, I think it'll be easier for them to kind of integrate themselves into this format.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that. I'm sure we're gonna have multiple conversations in this show. Like you said, we still have to talk about cricket.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep it for next